Thank you for pressing play. Your presence here brings joy to my heart. Hello, YouTube friends. Join us as we unravel the mysteries surrounding First Statute of the IMRO. Due to the lack of original protocol documentation and the fact its early statutes were not dated, the First Statute of the Clandestine Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization (IMRO) is uncertain and is a subject to dispute among researchers. The dispute also includes its first name and ethnic character, as well as the authenticity, dating, validity, and authorship of its supposed first statute. Certain contradictions and inconsistencies exist in the testimonies of the founding members of the organization, which further complicates the solution of the problem. In general, it was often called the Bulgarian Committee on the eve of the 20th century. Based on the samples of statutes and regulations of the organization discovered so far, it appears it was firstly called Bulgarian Macedonian Adrianopolitan Revolutionary Committees BMARC, although this conclusion is still debatable. As we progress, let's zoom in on Memoir's controversy and examine its role in shaping our overall narrative. The revolutionary organization set up in 1893 in Ottoman Thessaloniki changed its name several times before adopting in 1919 its last and most common name, that is Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization (IMRO). The repeated changes of name of the IMRO has led to an ongoing debate between Bulgarian and Macedonian historians, as well as within the Macedonian historiographical community. The crucial question is to which degree the organization had a Bulgarian ethnic character and when it tried to open itself to the other Balkan nationalities. As a whole, its founders were inspired by the earlier Bulgarian revolutionary traditions. All its basic documents were written in the pre-1945 Bulgarian orthography. According to the founding member Hristo Tatachev's memoirs written in 1928, the IMRO was first called the Macedonian Revolutionary Organization (MRO). According to another founding member Petar Popasov, its first name was Committee for Acquiring the Political Rights of Macedonia, given to it by the Treaty of Berlin. Per Tatachev, the founders of the IMRO had Zaharie Stoyanov's memoir about the April Uprising of 1876. In which the Statute of the Bulgarian Revolutionary Central Committee (BRCC) was published, which they took as a model for the organization's first statute. According to Tatachev, the Adrianople region was not included in the organization's program at first, but was added later. Per Hristo Kotsov in 1895, Dame Groove commissioned him to start the construction of the committee network in Adrianople region, which was already included in the organization's program. According to Popasov, the first statute's swatch was sent to be printed in Romania, where it burned down in a fire. However, according to Lazarjurov, the first statute and regulations were printed in a very limited quantity in Thessaloniki in 1894. It is known that the first statute was prepared by Petar Popasov and was adopted at the beginning of 1894. And according to some reports, the first regulations were developed by Ivan Hadjinikov in the same year. The data presented by Jurov has raised the question of whether the foundational documents of the organization were really printed in Thessaloniki for the first time. It is known also that another early statute and regulations were printed in Sofia in 1897 by George Petrov and Gots Delchev. Now, let's dig deeper into discovery of the Statute of BMARC and unveil the hidden treasures it holds within. In 1961, Macedonian historian Ivan Kazadi published a statute and regulations discovered in Skopje naming the organization Bulgarian Macedonian Adrianople Revolutionary Committees BMARC. Copies of this statute and the regulations were later found also in Bulgaria. According to this statute, membership of the organization was allowed only for Bulgarians. The fact the first statute restricted the membership on an ethnic basis is confirmed by Tatachev in his memoirs from 1934, as well as in the memoirs of other revolutionaries. Although according to Ivan Hadjinikov, membership was open to everyone from Macedonia. Her earlier doctor of this restriction lasted until 1896, but per Georgy Bazarov, who also confirms the name of BMARC as a first one till after 1900. The name of BMARC, as well as information about its statute, was mentioned in the foreign press of that time, in Bulgarian diplomatic correspondence, and exists in the memories of some revolutionaries and contemporaries. Some international, Bulgarian and Macedonian researchers have adopted the view that this was the first statute, that is the first official name of the organization. In the next segment, we'll be exploring BMARC and its implications for our subject matter. Katajev claimed that this was the first statute of the organization, and under this name, it existed from 1894 until 1896, when it was changed to Secret Macedano-Adrianopolitan Revolutionary Organization SMARO. In 1969, the name BMARC was officially promoted as position of the Macedonian historical community in the second volume of the first ever 3-volume history of the Macedonian people, as well as in its 1-volume edition, in 1970. Per Game Todorovsky, from its very name could be concluded this was initially an organization primarily of the Bulgarian population in Macedonia and Adrianople areas. Thus, per Kostbatovsky, this was not only the first preserved statute but its original one. Get ready for an exciting part as we dive into revisionist turn. In 1999, this view has been revised by Blay Ristovsky in his History of the Macedonian Nation. He practically adopted the position of his Bulgarian colleagues. The first name of the organization was MRO. However, Ristovsky fully rejected the statute and the regulations of the BMARC, promoting the weird idea its first preserved statute was that of SMARO. Today, many historians in North Macedonia question the authenticity of the statute of BMARC or reject its relation to the IMRO. They claim that IMRO activists had an ethnic Macedonian identity, while the designation Bulgarian is thought to have rather a religious connotation then. Those who accept the existence of the statute claim the term Bulgarian was used ostensibly for tactical reasons because the organization's activity was concentrated primarily on the Bulgarian Exarchist population. Others insist that the founders of the organization were then under the influence of Bulgarian propaganda. The spotlight now falls on IMRO as Bulgarian organization as we delve deeper into its details. Bulgarian historians, such as Konstantin Pandev, see the statute and the regulations of BMARC as a confirmation of the Bulgarian ethnic character of the organization. The definition Macedonian then had a regional meaning, while the ideas of separate Macedonian nation were supported only by a handful of intellectuals. They insist also, except the national designation Bulgarian in the name, another part of it is related to the then Vilayet of Adrianople, whose Bulgarian population has not been contested in North Macedonia today. Also, apart from the fact the statute allowed the membership only to Bulgarians, the regulations contain an oath which also confirms its Bulgarian character. In 1969, Pandev promoted the view that the designation BMARC lasted from 1896 until 1902 when it was changed to SMARO, a view adopted by some international and many Bulgarian historians. As we move forward, let's uncover the untold stories and fascinating intricacies of MRO. Many Bulgarian researchers assume the first name of the organization during 1894-1896 was Macedonian Revolutionary Organization or Macedonian Revolutionary Committee. The view that MRO was its first name has been adopted also by different international researchers. However, neither statutes nor regulations with such names have not yet been found. Bulgarian researchers suppose that the founding statute of the IMRO still hasn't been discovered or it hasn't survived. Thus, the first preserved statute of the organization is that of the BMARC. Some Bulgarian historians do not accept the view of Pandev and adhere to that of Katajev, i.e., the first statutory name of the organization was BMARC. Bulgarian researchers also maintain that Katajev himself had some manifestations when he publicly claimed the IMRO revolutionaries had Bulgarian self-awareness. Let's now shift gears and explore authorship dispute through a critical lens, uncovering its strengths and weaknesses. According to some Bulgarian and Macedonian researchers, the author of Mark's statute was Petar Popasov. Other Bulgarian historians assume that the authors of the statute were Goce Delchev and George Petrov. Per Yovorov, Goce Delchev participated in a congress of the organization, which adopted a statute, almost a copy of the old Bulgarian revolutionary statute. It contained a special article according to which only Bulgarians were accepted as its members. According to Yovorov, Delchev voted in support of this article in question, which he believed was chauvinistic. Later, when the circumstances changed, Goce was the first to insist that this article be amended, and this is what happened. In Ivan Hadjinikolov's memoirs, is written that Petar Popasov was assigned to draw up the first statute. The founders also believed that in an autonomous Macedonia, the Bulgarians, who were a large majority in the area, would be able to defend best their interests. In his memoirs, Dame Groove recounts the founders grouped together and jointly drew up a statute modelled after the statute of the revolutionary organization in Bulgaria before the liberation. George Petrov also tells about the writing of the statutes in his memoirs. According to him, initially a short statute drafted by Dame Groove was in force. It was decided to draw up a new complete statute and regulations. Petrov do it in Sofia, together with Delchev. In the next portion, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of periodization dispute and examining its broader implications. The periodization of the internal organization's names is a matter of debate while both the BMARC and SMARO statutes were not dated. As mentioned above, it is believed by Bulgarian historians that in 1896 the first and probably unofficial name MRO was changed to BMARC, and the organization existed under this name until 1902. There are still Macedonian historians who acknowledge the existence of the name Mark in the very early period of the organization, but generally today in North Macedonia it is assumed that between 1894 and 1896 it was called MRO, while in period the name of the organization was SMARO. On October 10, 1900, the newspaper Pester Lloyd published a short translation of the captured by the Ottoman authorities statute of the Bulgarian Macedonian Revolutionary Committee and regulations of the Macedonian Adrianopolitan Revolutionary Committees. On October 13, the Greek newspaper Emira published the same documents. On the other hand, the Austro-Hungarian consul in Skopje Gottlieb Para, in his report attached a document in translation, which he designated as the new statute of the revolutionary organization. This document bears the title, Statute of the Secret Macedonian Adrianople Revolutionary Organization. It is identical to the document issued in 1902, according to Pandev, as well as with the statute, which according to Katadzied was compiled in 1897. However, Macedonian historians point to the fact that a copy of the SMARO statute was kept in London since 1898. Based on the earlier's discovery that the cover of the BMARC rules were dated 1896, the problem when the BMARC regulations were printed seems to be solved by Bulgarian historian Tsoko Biliarski. However, the regulations were prepared later than the statute. The next statute of the SMARO opened membership in the organization to every Macedonian or Adrianopolitan, regardless of their ethnic origin. The IMRO members saw then the future of Macedonia as a multinational community, and did not aim a Macedonian separate ethnicity, but understood it as an umbrella term, encompassing the different nationalities in the area. The common political agenda declared in the SMARO's statute was the same, to achieve political autonomy of both regions. In 1905 the organization changed its name to Internal Macedonian Adrianople Revolutionary Organization IMARO. Brace yourself for a deep dive into Gallery as we explore its impact and relevance in our evolving narrative. File statute but covered statute of the BRCC used as a model for the IMRO's first statute. This statute was drawn up in Bucharest in 1872. 5 Pravilnik Mark Regulations of the Mark Regulations of the BMARC published firstly in Skopje in 1961. They continued to be used even after 1902 in the Smolensk Revolutionary Subdistrict. File goes Delchev BMARC regulations so except of the draft of the regulations of the SMARO made by hand on the regulations of the BMARC by Gotz Delchev or Petr Popasov. Lieutenant Amakani of Vladislav Kovachev of Vladislav Kovachev, Autonomous Macedonia 1919. He maintains on page 14 that the first statute allowed the membership only for Bulgarians with a special article. Messenia Magazine 1922 Opth Magazine Macedonia 1922 where Georgi Bazdarov claims on p5 the first name of the organization in its first statute was Merk. Falbabit Nomegonskin Nardgul Struggle of the Macedonian People for Liberation 1925 where Dimitar Vlhov maintains on page 10 that initially the organization worked only among Bulgarians of Struggle of the Macedonian People for Liberation 1925 where Dimitar Vlhov maintains on page 10 that initially the organization worked only among Bulgarians who belonged to the Bulgarian Exarchate. File Mikhail Dujikov's and Risto Tatachev's memoir Sokol Tristo Tatachev's memoirs about the creation of the IMRO published in Sofia by Lyubomir Militik Aristo Tatachev's memoirs about the creation of the IMRO, which according to him was first called MRO. Published in Sofia by Lyubomir Militik in 1928. I love interacting with my viewers, so leave me a comment and I'll do my best to respond.